to talk about financial literacy. Like how were you able to source for your funds when you were going to start your business?
At the time that I started, I one of the reasons why I started from home was because I didn't have the funds to have my own establishment, and I think that was a blessing in disguise because I really wouldn't advise anybody to start afresh from an establishment. Now there's so many model businesses where if you were to start from a space in the beginning, you're at less risk because there are different people that you can see as inspiration. But before, a few years ago, I think it would have been a bit of a disaster for me because I would have really gone in unprepared. So the funds that I needed were not that much because I started with domestic appliances. I didn't start with commercial. From the machine that made the waffles to my mixing bowl, that was even from my kitchen at home to takeaway containers, which for one cost maybe just 200 naira in the market, and then the branding materials, the stickers and whatnot, which are not expensive either. So I started with very, very, very little funding that I was just able to gather on my own. It wasn't like I tried to apply for a loan from the Bank of Industries in the beginning, but when you're starting, you are not eligible for a loan of that magnitude. Like if you're asking from in the millions, because there's no record of past business,
Okay.
so it's difficult for banks to offer you loans when they don't know if the loan will be returned. So that's changing now with Bank of Industries. I believe that they're creating something for entrepreneurs which should give you access in your inception stage. So I started with the just funds that I was able to gather at the time. I started very humbly, and this what I was selling at the time was just returned into the business. So it took a very long time to sort of break even in terms of what I had started with, and but after that it really was just headed up because we returned everything we made back into the business and used that to grow. And we were also lucky enough to not need to pay rent even after we left the house and moved into a tiny space. Where we moved into was not a rent agreement, so we didn't need to have the funds to pay for rent. So we also got very lucky. But for the average business, I would advise that you begin small. If you don't have the funds, you don't have access to the funds, you begin small and gather some history in terms of your transaction, so that when you approach a bank for a loan, at least they can see that it is a sellable, profitable business, and they would be comfortable to offer you that loan. Yeah.
Okay, depending on the type of business, what kind of sources do you think that? Well, I know you said if it's a small business, you start small, but maybe when they reach a certain level, what sources do you think are most effective? Like, where can they easily seek
Sources of funding.
Yeah, sources of funding. Yeah.
Most people,
apart from getting your own personal capital, like
yes, most people that are starting out would complain about a lack of funding or lack of capital, because they would say, oh, I have this idea and I don't know where to get the capital for it. I would advise sourcing investors, creating a business plan and sourcing investors. A business plan is not something, this is contrary to popular belief. Most people think that when you're starting a business, you are in need of a professional business plan. I don't think that it is important until you require assistance. You have to have your business on paper, which means your ideas have to be written down for clarity and for planning purposes. You have to be intentional with what you plan to do. Write it down, from how you plan to market, what the product is, what the service is, how you plan on sourcing staff, how many you need, the uniforms, all of that. It's important to have that written down. But a professional business plan is then even more important when you are in need of funding. There's so many bodies and individuals that are currently looking for young people, new businesses to invest in, and they just need a sellable business. They need somebody or something that is attractive enough or appealing enough to look sellable, so that they know that once they put down that investment, that is going to come right back to them. Food is a very sellable business because everybody must eat. So we are still in a position in Nigeria where unique businesses, food businesses, there's still so much space for them in the market. It's not congested, it's not too competitive. There is space and there's room for people to come with new ideas, new experiences for people, because everybody is looking for that abroad, or even not that abroad feeling, but something different. Even if you're selling a Nigerian local dish, you want to be able to sell it in a very unique manner that people would immediately buy into it. So that business plan is very important in order to get that funding. You have to do the homework of sourcing where and who you can approach, and that is really the hard part. So you have to be committed to sourcing the funds, and if you feel like you can't be bothered with that, then maybe business isn't for you.
Okay, can you shed more light on like bookkeeping or record keeping? Like how effective and important is it to be for you though?
So for me personally, finance is not my strong suit. So it took me a very long time to understand the process of bookkeeping, but also I adopted a partner in my business who was financially sound. So it's very important to forge a balance when you are starting a business where, whether it's your supervisors, your managers, or your partners, if you decide to get a partner or not, you need to divide your skill set. So if you are more financially sound but you don't know how to be creative, then maybe get somebody or train under somebody, or be mentored by someone that is more creatively sound, so that your business can forge a balance. Bookkeeping is very, very important, because later on in your business you are going to need to handle a lot of legal matters, a lot of taxation matters, and you are going to need your books to be organized and vouched for, in order for this whole process to be very smooth. For people that are not very sound on it, you can very easily research and just learn a bit more about bookkeeping and what you need to do. And online there's a lot of templates for balance sheets, for profits loss statements, for all of these things. So you can just go there and research, and it will give you a better idea. But I think practical example is also very important. Just talk to a fellow friend that may have a business, and just ask them to how they do theirs, and adopt the same method, and hopefully that works for you as well.
Okay, what do you advise new entrepreneurs on the process of filing your taxes? Because basically it's one of the most important things to do.
Yes.
So the process itself, like what do you advise them, what they should do, what they shouldn't do?
You need to ask a lot of questions to fellow business owners, because I had to learn the hard way. I did not have to worry about taxation until maybe last year, because where we were located before, most of our taxation was done under one body. So at the moment we have had to learn a lot about the Abuja Municipal Area Council, FIRS, and all these other bodies that you have to kind of answer to in terms of your taxation and your permits and whatnot. To operate in a business establishment, there's so many permits and things that you have to be aware of. So it's important to ask, because if I say research, the information may not be available online. So you need to find out from other business owners, what are these things that I'm likely to run into later in my operations, and how do I solve them. So thankfully, the Nigerian system, just us being able to access each other directly and easily, because everywhere you go there's different businesses. You can very easily, either if you don't have a friend, you can just very easily reach out to a business owner through that establishment and see how you can learn more about it. But it's definitely very important.
Okay, how long did it take you to break even?
Like I said before, we started very small.
Yeah.
So I think I can say that we broke even within our first year, because what we made back that covered for what we had in the beginning. I think that ended up, we made it back in maybe the first 6 to 8 months. But then after that we still had to reinvest into the business. But in that inception period of us just starting small, I can say that we broke even within our first year.
Okay. Do you use an auditor, or do you use an auditor for your business?
Yes, we use an auditor, and it's important for, as your business grows, that you have an auditor that you work with internally and one that you work with externally as well, so that when you need to do your accounting, it's a very everything is already recorded.
Okay, thank you very much.
In business, it's important that you understand you and your business are two different people. You are not your business is not you. So once you understand that, there is a need for financial literacy. Now, unfortunately, for many of us growing up, we were not taught about finance. We learned about finance in the process of making mistakes. Oh, just save money, do this and all of that. So in your business, you need to have proper bookkeeping. So if you need to work with somebody that is a financial literate to guide you through this process, then do it. But just remember this, your business and you are not the same person. Your business money is not your money. As a matter of fact, you work for your business. So you need to put yourself on a salary from your business. And your salary is not the whole profit the business makes per month. That is not right. So get a percentage. If you are just a startup, you can say, oh, 20% or 10% of my profit is a salary. Now, you need to put that in paper to yourself. Oh, for the next 6 months or for the next 1 year, this is my salary. For the next 1 year, this is what I must achieve, or this is what the company must achieve. So my roles are this, and this. If I am not able to achieve this, what happens to you? Do we reduce your salary? And when I say we, it sounds weird, but by we, I mean, does the company, though it is yours, reduce your salary? Oh, if you are able to increase the production from A to B, so the salary, my own salary now from the company, we move from maybe 2 naira to 50 or to 20 naira or to 10 naira, whatever it is that works for you.
But I would like to ask you, Professor Dola, and we'll probably round up on this, the issue of finance, funding. Professor Buhari mentioned this, and I've met a number of young people, and we attended a opening ceremony of a conference not too long ago, and the invited guests made mention of this, that the first thing when you ask somebody and has, what's your business idea, the first thing they talk about is no funds. How do we go about providing some guide to young people that, is funding the first thing that they should be thinking about?
Well, I guess the first thing to do is to create awareness. Most of our young ones are ignorant of sources of funding and what they can do. Well, no, they seem, they claim to be knowledgeable, because of open resources from the internet. But we need to keep creating awareness. We need to strengthen guidance for the young ones, and at the level of the institution, the local opportunities, we need to keep disseminating, and also disseminating the opportunities at the national level, and then of course the international sources of funding.
Wow. Thank you very much. It's been a very interesting period of interview session, and I would like to thank everyone who has participated. We definitely will have to have another session sometime soon. It's been a pleasure talking with both of you, Professor Buhari and Professor Odunola.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.